Key West, Florida, the Conch Republic, is a magical little island that plays by its own rules. And its culinary king is Norman Van Aken, a Florida food legend who's my cooking partner today.
We're making a version of my Bahamian conch chowder. We're going to use some local fish because conch's not going to be available everywhere.
There's no conch in Kansas.
No conch.
On Ask Sara,
So hi, Ronnie.
a viewer from Houston has a question.
How to choose the right avocado and how to know when it's ripe, and how to cut it the right way.
Here's how I'm going to do it.
Good to know, because back in Key West, we're making
This mysteriously named salad called cut-up.
What did you bring us? Oh,
Somebody
what is
bring
that?
avocado, somebody bring mango, somebody bring papaya, and they would contribute, and I'll make up the version of whatever cut-up was that night.
I love it. I want to propose a toast to the whole
a culinary salute to the Conch Republic.
Drink up!
Today on Sara's Weeknight Meals. In 1971, Norman Van Aken came to Key West to cook, and he didn't want to leave.
The thing about Key West is that most of us knew we were in love with the place. It wasn't just a place to live and work. It was our personal and collective Shangri-La. Long before Jimmy Buffett wrote Margaritaville, we had already pledged allegiance to the magical little scrap of land at the end of the rainbow. We just felt lucky when we walked the old small streets and alleys protected by some ancient maternal force. Something deep in our souls told us this was a place where we could find peace and quiet and camaraderie of like-minded people. On top of that, the city was stamped with a raffish charm, a joie de vivre. You could remake yourself in Key West, and no one minded, as long as you helped keep the good times rolling. We lived day to day, but were intent to do it in quality drinking establishments and places to enjoy the crazy matrix of foods not eaten in most of America, save New Orleans.
In years to come, Norman Van Aken fused the flavors of Key West into something he called New World Cuisine. One of the Beard Foundation's who's who and a culinary force in Florida, he returned to his roots to cook with me at a beautiful Key West home.
You know, I feel like we're in the middle of paradise here.
We are.
Yeah, and we're cooking, and it's outside. What are we making today?
We're making a version of my Bahamian conch chowder. Actually, I shouldn't say mine, because when I first got to Key West in the 70s, other people were making for probably a centuries. But we're going to use some local fish that people could now make this chowder anywhere, because conch's not going to be available everywhere.
There's no conch in Kansas.
No conch in
No,
Kansas.
no.
None from Illinois, where I'm from originally.
Okay.
But there's beautiful snapper and grouper and all kinds of other fish that will work beautifully in this soup. The word conch is an interesting word, because if you read it on a printed page, you'd think it'd be pronounced conch.
Conch.
So be in the know and pronounce it conch.
Okay, and I just wanted to say, for those of you who are like, what is that? You know that big shell that you listen to, the one that you want to hear the ocean in, that big gorgeous shell? That's conch. What's inside is the yummy stuff that you would put into the chowder. Okay.
Conch is so very important in Key West. Actually, the people who are born here are known as conchs.
Okay.
We make conch fritters, we make conch salad, and we make conch chowder.
Yum. So what do we got going already?
I've cooked 2 ounces of slab bacon with a 1/4 cup of olive oil. And then I've got some Scotch bonnet chilies, which are in this dish here so they can stay hot, away from my skin. And then some garlic would go great in here right now, Sarah, if you can reach that. A tablespoon.
Here comes the garlic.
You notice how we slice the garlic? I didn't mince it up because
Yeah, I was wondering about
Well,
that.
I like the flavor to be more delicate. The more you chop up garlic, as
The
you
more
know.
you get out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like the more gentle
Nuanced,
way to
yeah.
exactly. 1 sweet onion. Could you now add that to the pot? I've got some celery, bell peppers. Red bell peppers could be used as opposed to yellow. Yeah, just go ahead and put that in there, Sarah. And I'll stir as we need.
Okay, but I do want you to tell me about Scotch bonnets.
Scotch bonnets are interchangeable with habanero chilies. So much more heat than, say, a jalapeno chili, but they have the Caribbean flavor. I love to use them. Sarah, can you add that yellow pepper that you diced before?
And I'm cutting up these carrots.
I'm gonna go ahead and add in the 4 celery stalks that I've diced. Can then you add in your chopped up carrot? And I'm gonna cut up some fennel. About half of a nice sized bulb is good.
Okay.
We're gonna coat the vegetables with the bacon and olive oil fats, because that's gonna get that great flavor deeply imbued within the vegetables. So here's our fennel, which adds a nice licorice sort of note to the
Now that's
collection of
interesting. Is
vegetables.
that really traditional in this chowder, or is that something you're adding?
You know, talk to the local Conch people, the people of Key West, and you're going to get different versions of recipes all down the line.
Well, the reason I asked is because fennel is rather Italian.
There's a Italian history here. Actually, when I first moved here, I'd see menus that would say calf's liver Italian style. And I was like, really? Wow, that's interesting. Key West is a polyglot place. I mean, you have all kinds of people from all over because we're an island and there's been so much trading that has gone on through here. The Navy had a major presence here for a long, long time. So you can do lots of different things, please. Asian influences are also true here because of the Asians that came to work the railroads in Cuba eventually migrated here as well, Sarah. Let's put a little salt and pepper in here too.
Okie dokie.
I always like to season
As you go. If you wait till the end, you end up adding way more than you need.
Yep.
And it doesn't penetrate or flavor it the way it should.
Right. And I also cook with my hearing. You know, the sound of this, I've decided to yank up the heat a little bit.
Oops.
Because
okay,
I want to hear that sizzling continuing to go on.
I'm trying to figure out if oh, there. Okay.
About a tablespoon of the crushed red pepper. Yeah, so we're just going to sprinkle that over there like that. And like any time you're using chilies, you can decide whether or not you want something hotter or not hot. I'm a hot loving
Me
condiment.
too.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to let this cook to 5 to 7, as we say. So let's take a look at that fish we got.
All right, I'm going to bring you
The
up.
fish that is not conch.
That's local snapper. Boy, is that gorgeous. Clear eye and a nice smooth scale.
Well, that's one of the benefits about being in Key West is that you have extraordinary bounty of seafood all around us. So we're spoiled, and we admit it. This is a unique version, a variety that's better for snapper. This is called a ham bone snapper.
Oh.
You know, I don't know where the names always come from, but I love the colorful nature of that name. American red snapper is another fish to use, but the most important thing is freshness.
And so use something local or as fresh as you can get.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. So here we go, just cutting it into not too tiny pieces because they'll begin to become smaller as we saute them and also as they cook in the soup. And if you could just add a little salt and pepper to the fish, that would be great.
Are we going to add it to the pot now, or are we going to do some later?
We're going to give it a little start in a saute pan and get the flavors moving that way. And also that will improve the texture. If you drop the fish in here raw, it will cook, but texturally it's just better to do it with a little sear on it first.
That is a great tip. You know, I'm partially from New England, even though I grew up in New York City, and we always just throw the fish right in the pan.
Yeah.
But I never thought of browning it first. That's brilliant.
Okay, so a little salt and pepper on there.
Okay.
And then this is happy now. And we'll go ahead and put in the fish stock. About 2 quarts, which we made from the bones of the fish that we filleted.
Now, what if you don't want to go to the trouble of making fish stock? What could you use in its place?
You could either use the bottled clam juice in the store or chicken stock. All right, so we have some beautiful fish stock. See how nice and clear that is?
Yes.
This is going to add a ton of flavor. And then I'm going to take a couple bay leaves and you just crack them so they release their aromatics. And then I like to start off with the whole tomatoes, Sarah, so that I can put them in here. And then before I add in the tomato puree, I can just take the spoon and give them a little break up. Okay, and then the rest of this.
So I think that was a 28-ounce can of whole tomatoes
Right.
and a 15-ounce can of sauce.
Right, now we're gonna bring that back up to a simmer. So before we move over, let's go ahead and put some herbs in here. What do you
Okay,
say?
so how much time do we need?
About a tablespoon of thyme, and then some sweet basil is always good too.
And how much basil?
About 2 tablespoons of that as well. So some sweet basil. Okay, so that's gonna get to know each other. We're gonna let that simmer together once your thyme is in there, and then we'll get the skillet to saute the
Fish.
the
Brown
local-
the fish.
The
Yes.
snapper in this
Okay.
case, our ham bone snapper.
I love that ham bone. It's so counterintuitive. Oh, there's no ham in it. Fish. All right.
Well, you know, the fishermen come up with different names. And, Okay. All right, so we're just going to continue to simmer that. Now we've got a skillet here.
Got to get it hot.
We're going to get it hot because if you don't get it hot, the fish grabs the skillet, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and taste the olive oil, and you can see that it's already starting to add some smoke, so we're
Yeah.
gonna lift it off the heat, which you could always do when you're cooking.
Right.
A lot of people at home, you can go ahead and help me.
Yep,
You lift the pan off the heat.
and the heat goes bye-bye.
It slows things down, and you can hear it. And so what we're gonna do is just make sure we don't crowd it too much. Perfect.
Got it.
Okay.
And
So we're back on the heat. I can see that it's needing a little bit more oil.
Now this is interesting. This is something I would have used a non-stick pan for because fish tends to stick.
If you have a non-stick pan, by all means, use it.
Well, it looks like you're doing fine because you heated the pan so well too.
I'm not going to cook this all the way through. I'm just getting that nice little color on there. It's going to make the texture in the soup a whole lot better. I'll flip it over. Now we're going to go into the plate here.
I just want to point out, you want to hold up the spatula?
Sure.
This is the right tool for the job. It's called a, Peltic or fish spatula because it's flexible so you can get under the fish without breaking it.
These are great, and they're inexpensive.
I use them for everything.
Yeah. Okay, so
That's so interesting. Next time I make my New England fish chowder, I'm going to do that.
you're going to get every little bit of the fish bits off the
Right,
bottom of this thing
right.
too, because you're loaded with flavor.
Do we add the fish to the soup now?
Not quite. We're going to start with the potatoes, so let me go grab the soup.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'll just park the fish over here.
Yeah, come on over here. Oh my gosh, the smell of the stock working on top of this, the tomatoes. I am excited.
Now these are little baby red potatoes that have been pre-cooked.
When you cook them ahead of time, they can drink in the soup.
They absorb more.
They absorb better.
So do you cook them completely or just till they're just barely done?
Just barely done is
Okay.
fine, yeah.
But if you wanted to, you could add them raw.
You could, yeah.
Okay.
Just more time in the soup when that
Got
happens.
it.
So,
Okay.
we're going to add probably about half of these. Let me see before I add the whole amount.
We'll stand back.
And if you have, you have more than you need, well, make hash browns the next day.
I like the way you think.
American fries,
Yes,
right?
yum yum. Does that
Okay.
good? Look good?
That looks good. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we can go ahead and let these guys get to know each other. We'll wait on the fish, and maybe we could begin
The dressing.
You're reading my mind.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to make this mysteriously named salad called Cut Up.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea, Sarah. As long as I've lived here, I've never heard of this till about 2 years ago. I was invited to a dinner party with Janet, and we went to the home of people who were born and raised in Key West. Somebody bring avocado, somebody bring mango, somebody bring papaya, somebody bring tomato, and they would contribute, and I'll make up the version of whatever Cut Up was that night.
I love it.
I do too.
Jeez.
So make a simple vinaigrette, right?
Okay, so a teaspoon of sugar
Yeah. So that was dissolve the sugar.
and the salt.
Yeah, and the salt in the vinegar.
Right.
Right.
And how much
A
sugar?
pinch is good, yeah.
Yeah.
So now the vinegar will kind of help
Because
dissolve
it dissolves so much better. It doesn't dissolve well in oil. I'm going to just eyeball. We want 1/4 cup. I'm going to
Yeah.
see.
And so this is sherry wine vinegar.
I
Which
love it.
sherry vinegar, like balsamic vinegar, has that inherent sweetness.
And also it's high in acidity, which I like, and it's robust. I just love the flavor. It's my favorite. Let's see if that looks like it's dissolved. Can you tell? Okay, yeah. So now we're going to add the 3 tablespoons of
Hazelnut, and then we'll finish with the canola.
Okay.
Fine, but this is just going to add a nice gentle coating to the mixture
Right.
of fruits.
Yeah, and
vegetables.
it's interesting. I want to note that we only used a little bit of the nut oil because nut oils can take over. So you always cut them with a neutral oil, and we're using canola. So 1/2 cup of canola. Okay. There we go.
Grapeseed oil is another one that you could
I
use.
love grapeseed oil. That's
Yeah.
actually my favorite because it's so neutral. It's funny, when I went to cooking school, I would go back to when I went to cooking school, I thought something with no flavor, why would you ever add that? But oil isn't just in there for its flavor, it's in there for a whole bunch of reasons.
Can I add just a touch of
Yeah, go, of course.
Yeah.
Hey, this is your recipe.
All
You're in
right.
charge.
I love cooking with you. You know,
Well,
it's
I
just-
love not being the person in charge. I mean, not that I'm usually these days, but.
That's our vinaigrette.
Okay, so now we're just waiting for your guests.
We have to wait for them because they are going to be the people who bring us the ingredients for the cut up.
I got it.
We'll be in mystery space for a little while.
The fish, we wait till the very end.
Pretty much, yes. This is looking good, Sarah. So while it's getting happier, let's go have a glass of wine.
Oh, yes, let's.
Let's do that.
Yes.
While we wait for our guests to arrive with their backyard fruit, here's a tip for cutting avocados you're gonna love.
I I get all sorts of questions on my website from viewers, and I love them because they're oftentimes things that I don't know or I research. I have a really good one for you today. It's from Ronnie, who's just moved to Houston, Texas, and it's about, very appropriately, avocados. So hi, Ronnie. How do you like Houston?
Hi, Sarah. Houston's great. I haven't had a bad meal since I've been here, so that's probably my favorite part so far.
Oh, better food in Texas than the Northeast, huh? What do you like about the Texas food?
Well, it's just fresh. I'm a big fan of barbecue, but there's also a really good Mexican food scene here, and that kind of leads me to my question about avocados.
All right, so shoot. What's your question?
My question today is how to cut it the right way. I feel like I'm wasting so much good avocado.
All right, this is one I can really do easily. How to cut it. We were all taught to take the avocado, you know, we all watch it on TV, all those cool chefs, they take a big knife, right? And they go around and they cut the avocado in half, right? Boink. And then they take the big knife and they take the heel of the knife and they hit it into the pit. Well, I worked with the California Avocado Commission and they said, please, you don't know how many people go to the emergency room, especially because of that last wonk. Please do it differently. So here's how I'm gonna do it. All right, so you put, first of all, don't ever hold something up in the air and a knife up in the air at the same time. Put it flat on the counter, take your knife, put your fingers on top, and go all the way around, just like you would if you were up in the air. Okay, so we've gone around half. Now, turn it a quarter turn and do the same thing all over again. Go all the way around. Notice my hand is above, everything's above. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to do the reveal I want because it's already falling apart. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? You see how that pit just came right out?
I wasn't even close.
Okay, so what you can do now, you see this is a firm avocado. So I could probably just peel this off. That's one way to peel it. Another thing, if it's a little riper and you don't think you're going to be able to just peel off the skin like that, you can take your spoon and just put it underneath, get between the shell and the avocado, and just scoop it out. And then you can slice it or do whatever you want to do with it. So you see, it's really very simple to get the avocado out. And there you go.
Thanks so much, Sarah. That's a great tip.
I have a very special question about tomatoes. And it's from Carly in Dallas, Texas, huh?
Yep, down here in the Big D. I was just calling in because, you know, I love putting cherry tomatoes on my salad and pasta, but there's so many of them and they're so small and it just takes so long to cut them.
It's tedious.
Such a hassle.
Tedious, right? So, okay, I have a cool trick. Cool trick to show you. I have to put on my glasses because this calls for precision. All right. So first you take two, you could use 2 plates. We're using the lids from just, you know, takeout. You know, you save those and recycle them and they're very cool and they're somewhat flexible. So let me get these guys out of the way. All right, then what you do is you get your victims, your cherry tomatoes, and they could be ovals, they could be any size, and you put them on, okay, there's the rimmed side and the flat side. You put them on the flat side.
Okay.
And you fill the whole thing up. I just love this because really it can just so slow you down to cut them in half, but you want to often, especially like I like to salt my tomatoes before I put them in a salad because it brings out their flavor. Okay, so you see the very difficult thing I already did. They're all, okay, they're all ready to go. And with that over there. Okay, then you put the flat side of the other lid on top. I'm gonna move it a little closer to me so I can get right down at eye level. All right, you take a serrated knife and you get right down to the level of the tomatoes so you can see where you are going. Okay, if you didn't get down there, you wouldn't slice them so evenly. And then, ta-da! You see this?
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that fantastic?
That's so much easier.
This is the sort of stuff that keeps me up at night, you know? So I see more cherry tomatoes in your future. What do you think? Yeah.
Definitely. I'm definitely more likely to use them since it won't take me hours to cut them.
I know, really. Fun, huh? Thank you for that cool question. I love those kind of questions. If you all want to send me a question from my website, just go to saramoulton.com and maybe we'll put you on Ask Sara. So you've been here for a million years.
Oh, yes. I came here as a child, basically. I'm 21 years old.
And your son lives here now, too?
He does. My son, daughter-in-law, and our granddaughter, Audrey.
Wow. I love this weather. Wind coming in from the ocean. Love it.
Oh, wow, look at it. Here's Maria and Rob.
Oh, mangoes are a little
Hi.
gift.
Oh,
Okay.
mwah. Thank you. Hey, Rob. Oh, good. How are you? Thank you for
Okay.
our cut-up
You'll
salad.
do better with that than we will.
Oh, my
wow, that is
gosh,
one huge
so
papaya.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Room ourselves.
I can't wait to share this
Oh, look
history of
who's
the salad.
there. Hey.
Oh, wow. Here comes the other cut-ups.
Yeah,
Great.
that looks like the littlest cut up. What did you bring us? Oh, what is that?
Avocado.
An avocado. Thank you.
Nice.
Come on in.
Go grab your seats, and Sarah and I are gonna make some salad for you all.
Yes.
Wow, that's
yes.
great.
Sarah, look what they brought us for the cut-up salad.
Oh, wow, that is one huge papaya.
That's the Jamaican papaya, and these are the local Florida avocados.
Right.
For cut-up, everybody brings something from their backyard. I brought the mango.
Oh,
Not actually from my backyard, but from a close-by backyard.
you pilferer, you.
Now,
You're taking off the top and the bottom.
yeah, I do it this way. I've seen other people do it other ways, but then...
The pit goes down the middle.
Yeah, so it's the oblong kind of way. And so I cut that there, and then I have to make room for the pit.
Yeah.
So this part actually, I can use the fruit that's over there, but then what you do is you take the knife and you, without going completely through the skin,
You score it.
you score it, well, deeply, like this,
Go all the way down,
all the way
but
down
not
like
through
that.
the skin.
And then this way as well. And you'll end up with a cubed mango already. So watch this. Try and make sure that you're not going to have the skin go into it. And you see like that?
That is beautiful. That was a magic trick.
That's a
I like that magic trick. Let me get you a bowl to put this
Okay.
in.
And meanwhile, I'll cut the other one up, okay? So this is the last little bit that we're going to get those nice cubes out of. Skin's there, but you know, there's still a little bit left on here, and I hate
the
to,
pit.
on the pit, but right there, that's some beautiful fruit. Don't waste it. You know, I ask myself sometimes, what would Julia Child do?
Right.
She'd enjoy this, right?
She-
You know her.
Alone in the kitchen. Remember, she famously said, "Remember, you're alone in the kitchen."
Save the liver.
Yes, we know all the things.
And then we have the local Florida avocados here.
As I recall, these are lower in fat, a little more watery, not quite as concentrated in flavor, but they're delicious.
Delicious. I
Yeah.
love them.
And local.
And local. Okay. These are Jamaican papayas, so they're the big boys. Nicely done.
Cut it into cubes roughly the same size.
The skin is definitely not flavorful that you want, so you want to make sure you get rid of the skin. You just want to shape it to where it's going to be in the same kind of relative size cube so that it's nice and even for the salad. Yes.
Oh, that is so beautiful. All right, so should we put our dressing in there?
Please, yeah.
Think we need all of that? Should I just do
Well,
it?
don't go with all of it until we know. We can always add, but we can't take it back out very easily
This
anyway.
is true.
And let's see.
Okay.
Like I say, we
Oh,
can
what
always
the, you
add
know
more.
what?
There we go. There we go.
I just made a decision.
Yeah, executive decision. But remember, it's a cut up, so if somebody brings tomatoes, add some tomatoes. It's not
Yeah.
a, like
Yeah, it's
only
whatever.
one way to do it.
I like the mix that we got.
Well, and we've got a tomato-based soup, so we're good in that
Time
way.
for fish?
Yes, please. All right, there is our ham bone snapper. That's going to go in there, if you would. And then I'm just going to fold that in. And I bet you want to add a little hot sauce.
I do. I thought
knowing-
you'd never ask. So the older I get, the more excitement I need.
There,
Since-
bottled excitement. Go
Okay.
ahead. Beautiful. We could also put some of that on the table for people who are even more ba-boom.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, that's it.
It's ready to take to the table.
All right.
All right.
Boy.
I get to
Okay,
sit next to
everybody
Maria.
dig in. This is my
you,
favorite kind of
everybody.
soup. So, how's everybody like the heat in this?
Is it too spicy for you?
Settle right. It's good. You can cook for us anytime you like. Come back.
We had fun, although he did most of the work. No, he did most of the work. I have a question, everybody. How many people at this table are conchs?
Ah.
Wow. Just one, the littlest.
It's Audrey.
Nice.
Is anybody here a freshwater conch?
Wait,
We are.
what is that?
Okay, so when you're born here in the Keys, you're automatically a conch, a saltwater conch. But if you live here for a certain period of time, you're considered a freshwater conch.
And how many years is required?
I believe it's 7. I'm working on my citizenship.
Of the Conch Republic.
Of the Conch Republic. I want to propose a toast to the whole table, to our delightful neighbors here, not mine, but yours, for coming, for bringing fruit to cut up. And I want to know, is there a conch toast?
Drink up.
Cheers, cheers, girls.
That's it.
Yay,
Good.
you did it,
You did well.
cheers.
On that cheers.